Let's drink some beer. This is all just a desperate cry for attention. Oh God, we're sucking right now.
I want to be able to grow more dicks. Dude, this is consensual.
I am Frank.
Dude, yeah, psychic powers like Grace. So yeah, this week's been action-packed.
As always.
As always, we're out here, we're doing it. We're slaying it on the streets, keeping it real.
Keeping it real, 100%. That's what the kids say. That's what we do.
That's what we say. We stand with the kids, the children. But really, man, late summer. I feel like late summer is always just drags the. I mean, they call it the dog days of summer for a reason,
Sure.
right? I mean,
this one especially sucks. Let's all just be real.
let's be real. Things are gloomy outside.
And we're here to just make you feel depressed.
No, we are here to bring the light and joy of cinema in the most far out way possible. And on that note, welcome to Far Out Flicks. I am one of your hosts, not host number one, Andrew.
That's it. And
this
I'm
is-
host number one. It's my week.
You're right. We agreed to alternate.
I'm host number one, Braden.
And I am host number two this week, Andrew. This week we are doing a movie that neither of us had seen, which, is not the norm. Usually one of us has got some kind of pre-existing experience with the film.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a vessel.
So that's what we're doing. And we
freedom.
both wanted to watch this movie, so we picked it, and now we're gonna tell you all about it.
Yeah,
And
we gotta have some host choices.
This one's a fucking doozy.
It's a doozy. The film is Zardoz.
Zardoz. I would say this is the most far out flick we've done.
Dude, it's pretty out there. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of contenders, a lot of strong choices, but this one, preface it. It's all perhaps a smidge dated by today's standards. It's not grotesque or obscene. There are
There are parts that didn't age well.
There are parts that didn't age well. So we said it. Now.
Socio-politically, I suppose.
We can talk. I mean, it's not like any racist shit or anything, so that's like, it's got that going for it.
No, there's a rape scene.
There is.
Just get it out of the way.
But it's
But it's
just rip
Sean
that Band-Aid
Connery.
off.
Who doesn't want to get raped by Sean Connery?
Hot take. I don't.
James. It's James goddamn Bond.
It is James goddamn Bond. He wore a hairpiece for all of it, though. So, yeah, we wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way. There's some parts of this that, while I don't think are poorly intentioned,
No, it's all very kind of...
at no point in my life would I have been comfortable watching this movie with my mother.
No.
No.
This movie it's very... How do you say? It's very kind of academic and artsy-fartsy.
Yeah, but at the same time, like a total indulgence into, like, hyper-masculinity. I mean, if I didn't know better, I would say Sean Connery wrote this himself.
He does get a good role in this.
He does.
This might be his best role. I don't know.
He probably had a lot of fun with this particular role.
I mean, we were talking earlier about how much we love Sean Connery.
Sure.
He is my favorite Bond.
He's my favorite Bond as
No,
well.
I thought you said yours was who?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig would be my second choice. They both embody what I want James Bond to be.
Yeah, fucking badass.
Exactly.
And to a testament of Sean Connery's badassery, little anecdote, he like once was like almost robbed or attempted to be robbed of this very flashy leather jacket he was wearing. And he absolutely beat the piss out of like 6 guys, 6 of these gangsters.
Yes, that's what I want Sean Connery to do.
He literally grabbed their heads and bonked them together like a fucking Three Stooges skit.
Like James Bond, man.
And knocked
He's
him out.
had a lot of practice choreographing that stuff.
TKO'd.
Dude,
took
he
him
knew
down.
exactly what to do. That was he was waiting for some motherfuckers to try to rob him.
Yeah, he was also a bodybuilder initially. And I think
I did not know.
He placed 3rd in a Mr. Universe competition. So the film was shot on a budget of $1.57 million. 1974 was the year the film was released.
I think even at that time, I think that was a small budget, though, right?
I mean, it's like way less small than it would be if it was 1.57 million today, but sure. Yeah.
Sure, but I wonder
think
how
so.
much like Star Wars cost by comparison.
Yeah, but that's later in the decade.
Not that much.
Like a presidential term.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Those could feel long sometimes.
They can feel long sometimes. Feel real long. It's an Irish-American science fiction film, and the general premise, or I guess how the film starts, we don't want to spoil it too soon. How the film starts is a bunch of, like, Raider-esque people.
The very first thing is you see this
you're
dude's
right. I'm
face.
getting ahead of myself.
This weird guy who's wearing almost like a nun's hat.
I was going to say turban, but yeah, you're right. I think it is more nunny.
Or like an Egyptian. What you'd think of an Egyptian wearing?
I don't know, man. What do I look like? Fucking Indiana Jones to you?
That's racist.
It's how?
Because Indiana Jones never went to Egypt, but he did explore other brown
we
peoples.
only have X amount
There
of
was other-
confirmed Indiana Jones adventures via the films. I mean, it's assumed that he does a lot of other grave robbing because he's got like established nemesises that you don't ever see in another film. So he's had other adventures. He's been to Egypt.
All right. Maybe I was too quick with the racist accusation.
Thank you. But it's got this guy saying he's like a god or whatever, and he's been alive for 300 years, and he's got the blue nun hat and
a painted-on goatee
and eyebrows.
and eyebrows
Blue.
with blue paint.
Blue paint.
Looks very odd.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Carrie Elway, but I know it's not Carrie Elway.
The performance is odd too.
Yeah, and the head's like moving around on this like black backdrop, slowly like moving closer to you, and then it.
Is Carrie Elway the guy who's in The Princess Bride?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's because they both have drawn-on mustaches.
It's possible.
It's
Also,
possible.
Also, Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yep, great movie.
Classic. Dave Chappelle appearance.
Yep.
So, after said introduction with the dude talking about how he's a god, and it's all like very theatrical on like the comedic side almost, you know.
He's a floating head. Then it just cuts scene to these weird kind of savage people.
Yeah, raiders. They're like raiders.
They're raiders,
Yeah.
but they're all wearing these weird red suspenders that go into a bikini bottom.
And like bullet sashes.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how the hell you would describe. They almost look like they're dressed like little elves or something.
Sort of, yeah. With like knee-high leather boots, which like, you know, Braden here made fun of me because I was most confused about that aspect of the wardrobe, which is a fair line of questioning.
Pull up, if you have never seen it, right now you need to just Google what the movie poster for this looks like so you can understand what Sean Connery
Oh yeah,
looks like in this movie. He's wearing... I do not know how to fucking describe it, but it's a very kind of... He rocks the fuck out of it.
He does,
He
dude.
makes it
he
look
wears
normal.
that shit with literally
He makes it look normal.
zero shame.
But it is not normal.
The 70s showed a lot of skin though. But yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know, man. It's like a little like diaper
He's got a diaper with suspenders.
But it's very form-fitting.
It's a red theme.
You say diaper and you think it's like lumpy and filled with baby shit, but this is form. It's like if a Speedo and a diaper had a baby.
Yep.
It's felt, it's showing off his natural curvature.
He's got an epic braided ponytail and a huge mustache.
A huge mustache. A Tom Selekian mustache.
Yes. And so anyway, he just looks awesome.
Yeah.
I would say.
Sorry, I had to open a beer there, guys. I couldn't contain myself any further.
It happens. It happens.
It does. Especially here at Far Out Flicks.
At Far Out Flicks, that's what we do.
Your beer buddy podcast.
This is just a reason to be an alcoholic. That's what a podcast has become for us.
I thought you were saying that to the listeners. Like our podcast would drive them to drink or something. I don't know.
I mean, you should, if you're watching Zardoz,
you should have a couple beers.
You should have a couple beers and strap in because it's a wild ride.
So yeah, back to the bright red, svelte diaper. In general threads that Mr. Connery is rocking.
They don't introduce him right away. You see a bunch of people all wearing this outfit. No,
they have the super like cliche scene though where it like shows his face for the first time and he fucking shoots the camera. And,
yeah. That's pretty awesome. That's very... It's good. That's like a direct homage to fucking James Bond.
For sure.
That's how every James Bond movie starts.
Look, this film is ridiculous and like perhaps some of the ideas presented in it have not aged well, but like the rest of it, it's honestly
aged well.
The rest of it's aged pretty good, and I feel like we say it a lot.
The critics panned this movie.
Of course they fucking did. How could they not?
They hated it, but over time it has grown a cult following that is like actually people love this.
It's also super ahead of its time in some regards, but we'll get to that. We don't
very prophetic.
We're not putting the cart before the horse here. So actually, before Sean Connery, shoots the camera, these like raiders are in this beautiful Highland-esque landscape, and this fucking giant floating head, floats down. And for me, this was a big connect the dots thing. I'm a huge Rick and Morty fan, but it's like a very, very overt homage to this film. Season 1, Episode 7, Raising Gazorpazorp. The whole episode, in fact, is based loosely on this.
That's amazing. That is an amazing piece of trivia.
Yeah, and I mean, when we started watching this, it was just like fireworks exploded in the brain. It's like, oh my god! Even before a single line was said, I was like, oh man, that's Rick and Morty. Or rather, Rick and Morty is this.
Hell yeah!
The stone head like touches down. It has. It's like the penis is bad. It only shoots seed. The bullet or the gun is good. It shoots death. And then the mouth of this thing like spews out shotgun shells and firearms and all these raiders.
I remember we watched this earlier. I looked at Andrew and I was like, did he just say penis?
No, he said penis.
The penis is bad.
Yeah, which I guess that kind of goes against the whole hypermasculine tag that I gave this film at the start of this. But just wait, guys, just wait. It shoots a bunch of guns out, and bullets, and like the raiders rejoice, and then that leads to.
And they're all like, "Gun is good."
Yeah, firing rounds off.
Good, and like going nuts.
Yep.
They finally have guns. It's like. Basically, like a time traveler just went back and gave cavemen a bunch of guns.
Exactly.
And then they just immediately start running around killing people.
And shooting. They're having a good time. And that's when we get the scene where Sean Connery shoots, at the camera. So the movie like cuts forward and there's like a really slow credit scene where the fucking head floats across the screen like really, really slow.
And then I think the next thing is all of a sudden Sean Connery's inside of the head.
Yeah, he like emerges from the sand in the base.
Yep.
He'd hidden there.
And basically these people worship this head, and it's called Zardoz.
Yeah, they treat it like their god.
That is their deity. They worship it. They do what it tells them. It says guns are good, penises are bad. They listen.
They listen.
So he jumped in the head, snuck in. He's in the head. All of a sudden, he sees this man. It's the man from the beginning, the original floating head.
Yeah.
And
that was like a human head. This thing is like a giant stone statue head.
Yeah, and inside is the guy with the painted on goatee.
Yeah.
The weird little fucker.
And Sean Connery, gets the drop on him and shoots him, pops him in the fucking arm, and that's when he turns around and, I think we saw his face before that, but
yeah.
He like, says, I could have shown you everything or the truth or, some vaguely cryptic nonsense.
Yep.
And then like floats out of the
And
head.
the head's like in the clouds, so he just like disappears in the clouds.
Out the mouth, just floats on out.
Hell yeah.
Out the mouth, just floats on out. It's our next big hit. So I guess Zardoz rides the Stonehead back to this like utopian, beautiful place.
Yeah, he goes to this utopian place where everyone kind of wears those weird Egyptian cloth hats.
Well, he doesn't see anybody at first. He's just like walking around, and then he does see some people. They like finally he gets like caught by one, and they like subdue him or whatever. It's May, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Some sexy chicks are walking around.
And basically everybody here looks pretty good, with the like slight caveat that like all the men are super effeminate and impotent.
And wearing like weird knitted like sweaters but they're not sweaters. They're more like ones that would like
Cardigans?
show their nipples. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a sweater if you cut nipple holes
There's
out
a
for
lot,
it.
there's a lot of nipples.
There's a lot of dude nips, but all the guys are impotent.
They do talk about that later.
But I mean, everything has an answer. But he runs into this one chick, May, who's this freckled beauty. And I got a thing for freckles. It's a weak point of mine. So I'm most partial to May of all the future characters for the rest of the film. But she comes and like subdues him with like some like psychic powers after kind of questioning him a little bit. And she like brings him back to like the society at large. And it's all these like pseudo psychic people who like never get old, I guess. They're called the Eternals.
They're called the Eternals, and they live in this society where they have figured... Essentially, they all have these rings that you can ask it anything and it'll tell you the answer.
It's like Siri.
It's basically Siri or Amazon Alexa. And this film came out in 1974, by the way. Let's be clear. Like,
fucking cell phones didn't even exist yet.
The internet wasn't even fucking really a thing at all.
Yeah.
So fucking, it's crazy how like nailed it. And in this world, they call it the vortex where the Eternals live. These people who live forever and are all beautiful and all impotent and everything.
It's like an invisible wall that separates them.
They worship this AI, which is Alexa, and it's called the Tabernacle. So they worship this AI. It's pretty crazy because I do think that like we worship our technology in a big way, and in this society, they have become all weak and impotent, and they're like this AI does all the thinking and heavy lifting for them, I suppose.
I mean, I don't know if it like expressly says that, but it's certainly. Let's put a pin in that. Let's put a pin in that and come back to it. So, anyways, he's brought to the fucking society, and basically, May is able to convince the group to like keep him around for scientific purposes, and this one said impotent male named Friend like basically takes charge of him, and they use him for like menial bullshit labor. Like he fucking literally pulls this dude Friend around on a fucking cart, like a rickshaw. This
part's a little weird. It gets a little homoerotic, and the guy's wearing like a weird leotard thing that's pink.
What's important is Friend early on reveals to our protagonist Sean Connery, whose name is Zed, by the way, which was revealed when he first met May, that he is partial, or like,
He's friends with Zardoz.
yeah, Arthur is the guy's actual name.
Yep.
But the guy who has been masquerading as Zardoz and running the whole Stonehead operation, shooting guns out into the fucking wasteland.
Exactly.
But he reveals that he's like in on this. Maybe plot's too much, but yeah, we'll say plot with this guy, and he wants to know where Arthur's gone.
Sure.
And said just doesn't say shit to him.
So already this concept is far out. Like,
dude, we've been
imagine
weird for a while.
like you've been worshiping this god. So let's say Jesus, for example.
Okay.
Everyone worships Jesus.
Sure.
And then like you go to his plane of existence, and he's just a dude. He's just a guy. He's just one of many, and you're like his little ant farm. That's basically what has happened here.
Sure. Yeah. And that's like really revealed when they start, like May starts extracting like memories or whatever from Zed's mind, kind of like against his will with her psychic powers.
Yeah.
'Cause she's like the scientist babe, which again, she's like the perfect woman. Like she
could do experiments
she's
on me
super
all day.
Beautiful. She's got freckles and she's got like the mind of a scientist.
And she wants his DNA.
I want to hear
really
about that
wants it.
scientific method, baby. Tell me about it. Let me hear about your experiments.
That's the worst fucking pickup line ever, even for a nerd.
I mean,
You gotta be like, what's the hypotenuse to your triangle? Or
that's like a mathematician, though. I mean, get your
True.
fucking fields of
True,
study right.
what is her fucking thing?
I thought I was pretty good. Whatever, man. When I've got a hot science babe, I'll be the one with the last laugh.
True.
We'll see. But anyway, she's doing these experiments and extracting his thoughts and shit. And like around the time that they like vote to keep him for menial labor, she like extracts all these memories of him and his raiders killing some people on the shoreline, and like he catches a woman with a net.
Yeah, he's riding a horse, and there's this naked woman running with her tits out.
Yeah.
They're flopping around, looking all beautiful. He comes by with a net, throws the net on her. She fucking crashes into the sand.
Yeah.
He jumps off his horse, and this is the rape scene which I guess...
We see it a couple times. They showed this
They
exact
go,
same footage twice.
Yes, they do.
I don't know why they did that. It was like one was probably
Just in
adequate.
case you were like getting more popcorn during the first
Yeah,
time.
you missed the first presentation, so we got a second one at 9:15. Just come on back then.
Exactly.
It'll be a different tour guide, but you know. So yeah, they see that, and they're like analyzing his like memories up on the big screen, and like some people are opposed, but like some of them are obviously excited by the
Many
violence.
of them are excited.
And like some of the women start like caressing him, and you know I mean, compared to all these other dudes that like look like they just don't lift.
And it's around...
He's this big like manly man. And
they're surrounded by these skinny, wimpy dudes wearing pink. And to be clear, they're like cartoonishly like effeminate.
Yeah, I mean it's like a caricature. It's not, again, dated things, material. But I mean, you know, if there's like 200 smoking hot babes who are like straight or bi, and they're just surrounded by a bunch of dudes who like literally can't get a hard on anymore, because they've been alive so long they've gotten bored with sexuality.
It's intense.
Which, like, again, these people they're eternals. The year of this, like,
That'll probably, honestly, maybe we're just haven't fulfilled this part of the prophecy yet, but like, once we are all connected with the neural links to the AI, and literally do have like weird virtual pornography and stuff in our brains.
Yeah, there's like little offshoot tangent, but there's a novella called The Metamorphosis of not Optimus Prime, it's a fucking Transformer, but something along that line, like the Prime Intellect or something like that.
It changes from a truck to a robot, right?
That's what it does, dude. It's got a big sword. It beats bad robots. It destroys Voltron.
Hell yeah.
No, basically, it's an AI becomes like hyper sentient and just like eradicates reality and just makes like fucking computer copies of everybody, so everyone's eternal, because it was like its prime directive was to cause humans no harm, like Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics.
Sure.
And this AI just like basically just made itself hyper powerful with its like super understanding of physics, and then wiped out existence and computer copied everybody onto a fucking hard drive where they exist now.
Sure.
But
Basically
everybody lives
the
forever.
Matrix,
And basically people
right?
fucking go crazy because they're there all the fucking time, and like, you know, at a certain point you just exhausted every possible human experience, and you fucking go nuts.
Which is basically what's happening to these fuckers in this movie.
Precisely. So
and then is it around this time when she puts the drawing of the penis on the projector?
Yeah.
She projects a giant drawing of a dick, a limp dick.
A limp dick, the tip barely makes it to the
says,
bottom of the balls.
We know what this is.
Look at this.
And then all of a sudden it's slide changes, it's a hard dick. She says, but how? We do not know how it gets to be like this.
Yeah, somehow these like hyper genius people don't know how to get a hard on.
And they're trying to pick Sean Connery's brain. They're like, how did your dick get so hard?
And that's when they decide to keep him for science, which is
and breeding. They're thinking about it. They're thinking about it.
But like one of the lady leaders, like accuses May of like bestiality.
Oh,
because she wants to bang this brutal, you know.
Damn.
Savage is an adjective, man.
But we do learn later that like, I don't know exactly what the timeline of this is, but at some point we learn that it is revealed that he is a genetic mutant.
It's shortly thereafter. I mean, before we get there, let's talk about the apathetics.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
And the rebels, right? So there's like 2 other castes of this utopian society. The apathetics, which are all these people who just like they call it a disease, but it's just a bunch of people basically becoming like extremely depressed.
They're zombies. They
look like zombies. They're just, I mean, they're not going for brains.
They're the apathetics.
Yeah, they just stand there and stare off into the distance.
Just drool on themselves. And then there's the renegades.
Yeah.
And the renegades are basically the criminals of their society. And in a society where no one dies and everyone lives forever, the criminal punishment is to add years to their life. So basically...
Well, it doesn't add years, it just makes them old.
It makes them old.
Yeah.
It makes them old.
Yeah. They're already eternal.
Exactly. But they still don't die. They just get old and lose their mobility.
Yeah, so it's like if you're going to be a vampire, you don't want to be a vampire when you're fucking 90, because then you're just stuck being like old and feeble for all eternity. You want to be a vampire when you're like 25 and the whole world is yours to command.
The world is your oyster.
You don't have any fat on your body yet. You can drink like 15 beers in a day and like function at work the next day. I guess... Yep. I mean,
I don't know. That might have just been your experience, but
well,
some of us aren't alcoholics.
I'm not an alcoholic. I'm just good at drinking.
Lots of practice. Practice makes perfect.
I don't drink that much.
Do you have your 10,000 hours yet?
Have I mastered drinking? That's a terrible thought to try and render in my mind. I might have, but I'm not that much of a drunk. I drink beer.
I'm just messing with
I drink beer so I can keep my shit together.
Far Out Flicks, making this podcast is our night that is the excuse to have a few beers.
It is.
So there you go.
It is. We let loose.
Getting crazy on a Thursday night, motherfuckers.
Yeah. We don't always release on Thursdays, but we normally record on Thursdays.
We just release it whenever the fuck I feel like letting you guys have it, finally.
We know you're waiting. Thirsty. You
just like these bitches for Sean Connery.
Oh, yeah.
His fucking virile, erect penis.
every, not even every female character, but every male character as well has a raging hard-on for Sean Connery.
It gets a little weird. They're all over him. And there's lots of talk about him intimidating them and just...
Yeah.
There's Things are being discussed of what to do with him.
But the rebels, as we'd already said, they're the people who are aged, but they still can't die. So that's like a pretty shitty prison sentence, And if you try to kill yourself, Friend reveals this. If you try to kill yourself, or if you die for like literally any reason, you just like materialize again.
Yep.
Which is not good.
So Friend, who kind of seems like an asshole. He kind of like makes Sean Connery his bitch.
Yeah.
He like has a whip. He's whipping him and shit.
I would say Friend is like the comedic relief if we're like to look at this from like a traditionally theatrical perspective.
Sure.
So it's like him and
But at first I thought he was like kind of the antagonist almost.
But he's not, right?
No, he kind of has a character arc.
Yeah.
Where you learn to love him and his weird...
So I think like he and Arthur are like the comedic relief in this, and it's kind of like a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern kind of like situation. Oh, we make a Shakespeare reference.
There you go.
I know, I'm going to pat myself on the back.
The whole, yeah.
Really jerk it off to that reference. But Friend.
Oh, you're so smart.
Yeah. So.
Said no one.
Yeah. Well. You didn't have to say that, man. So, Friend basically gets outed. Or not outed, but they like vote to kill, Zed or whatever. And then like one of the ladies like gets up and starts throat singing. And they all mind meld together, and they're like mind meld with us.
Yeah, they like all of them circle around
fingers.
Friend and are doing the spirit fingers at him.
But like it's not all the same. Some of them are like kind of waving like
They're
seaweed, like Ursula's seaweed, and so, some of them are.
Why does Ursula's seaweed sound like it's the? Is that the Little Mermaid? The bad?
Yeah, that's the bad guy.
I imagined her like Bush.
Dude, why? Why would you? All right, whatever.
I don't know.
That's not the worst thing that I've heard.
You don't want to go into my mind.
It's not
dark
great.
in there.
It's dark. Ursula terrified me as a kid, man. She like turned people into those weird little shrimp things.
Oh yeah, those weird little fucking. What are they?
That's a terrible fate.
That is a terrible fate.
Being turned into a sea cockroach.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
Anyway.
they like all mind meld and realize, they're trying to get Friend to mind meld with him, and he's like, no, like resisting, his eyes are rolling around. He's being real theatrical about all of it.
And then they turn him into a renegade, right?
Not right then, but they figure out that he had some potentially sinister involvement.
He might have had some reason to do with Zed being there.
Yes, exactly. So they send him to be a rebel, and they age him.
They age him, but only half of his face.
Yeah.
It's literally one half. It's like the left side is old and the right side is normal.
Well, I feel like it's like with like the makeup effects they had at the time. It's like having the contrast between the two makes it like more
Even
apparent.
his hair was different colors.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Am I colorblind?
I don't know.
Oh, fuck.
I don't think that's the right colors for colorblind.
How am I ever going to be a jet pilot now?
Fuck, that would be a cool job.
Dude, I bet their dicks are so hard every single minute they're in the air. I feel confident.
Dude.
Like if the G-forces doesn't push it down.
Well, I know.
The sheer joy of driving faster than anything else on planet Earth.
Well, they're always the ones who see the UFOs. I mean, you've seen the Tic Tac videos, right?
Sure.
And if you haven't seen that, just look it up.
Look it up, Tic Tacs.
Like, that's the real fucking shit.
They're real, guys. The Pentagon has admitted as much. So they
and the Pentagon released those videos. They literally pointed to these videos and were like, "We don't know what this is."
Yeah, bizarre. So the after Friend is sentenced to be, a rebel and get all age. Renegade. Fuck, I keep saying rebel, don't I? How many times did I say it?
That's the first time we got it on.
I don't think that's right. I think I've said it a few times. The Renegades, same thing. Whatever. It's fucking too close.
It's literally, it's just an arbitrary name that someone fucking slapped on there at the last minute of writing. Nothing in this movie makes sense.
That was a really
fucking
nuanced, thought-out component to this plot.
Trying to explain this plot to you guys, it's like impossible.
It's tough.
It's wacky.
It's wacky. So basically, May at this point is doing more studies on Zed and realizes that he has more intellectual capacity and is stronger and more powerful than all of the Eternals because he's this genetic mutant.
So he's a genetic mutant. He's smarter and stronger than everyone. He still is at a certain point you find out oh, he learned how to read and he was the only brutal, which is what they call the savage people, who learned how to read.
Let's just say Raiders.
Smart.
I'd feel more comfortable just saying Raiders.
The Raiders.
The Raiders. That's not been blacklisted yet.
Not yet. It's
Not
coming,
yet. It's
though.
coming,
I'm
people.
sure that is an offensive term. If you get down at the microaggression
I mean, it
level.
is an NFL team, so yeah, it's probably offensive.
Exactly.
Rooted in bigotry. It might be. God, I don't even know, man.
The Raiders.
It's a possibility.
I mean, that is definitely a depiction of a society. Oh, the Raiders.
Sure, but
Which
Fallout
the
has
Mongols and
yeah, I mean
they were Raiders. They were a nomadic people, but there is a negative,
I'm not gonna say that it's a synonym in my mind, but sure, I see.
You could put on your postmodernist bullshit lens and just be like,
oh, hold on, let me reach into my back pocket and pull out the 2020 goggles. What you got for me?
they're not raiding, they're just sharing your food without your permission or knowledge, and your women.
Oh fuck. Oh man. So Maze figures out that he's basically way better than them, and attraction level intensifies. She is totally juicing down below for Mr. Connery. So May using her, psychic powers. By the way, if we didn't say that, I feel like we did, but these people have psychic powers, basically, or they can use their, eyes and looks and whatever. I don't know, it's kind of glossed over.
It's it's they can control him with their mind, but, later they can't, so it's pretty inconsistent.
He becomes too powerful. But she uncovers that he'd learned to read. On one of his raids, he'd, seen somebody in a room and shot after him and chased and was enticed by this set of fucking hands to
showing him the ABC book.
Yeah, children's books, and then he ends up reading a lot. It's revealed he's much more intelligent than they initially assumed about him.
And then eventually the hands give him the Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
Which it's very interesting because essentially at the beginning of the movie he goes in that giant stone head, and this is the god they've all been worshipping. When they go on their raids, they wear masks that look like this stone head that are red, and they're obsessed with this thing. And inside is just a dude, a weird motherfucker with some painted on goatee that's blue. And it kind of is, it's an analogy, it's an homage to the Wizard of Oz because it's the man behind the curtain.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And actually, Zardoz, even the title is an homage to Wizard of Oz.
Because it's the Zard of Wizard.
Zardoz.
Yeah, bingo. Big reveal.
Boom.
Boom. So, anyways, after kind of all these revelations, May, and he awakens, and it's him and a very bare-chested May sitting there, and kind of
her titties all over him.
Yeah, she's loving it. He's loving it. I have to wonder, did Sean Connery have any choice in the casting? Did he pick?
I feel like he must have just had total creative control. This is just speculation.
Yeah, it's wild.
But he just gave himself the most badass role ever. Just has naked women rubbing their tits all over him the whole movie. They want his seed constantly. He is...
Yeah, I mean, he's like a literal Superman, but it sent to save the world and also, sow his oats.
Exactly. He's there to bring sexuality to their weird, sterile society.
So anyways, May gets caught kind of in this weird post-psychic probing embrace with Zed by like the main female antagonist. Not the first word that came to mind, but she's like, says she's gonna age May 50 years, and Zardoz like basically
for fucking him.
Yeah, so she tries to like overpower Zardoz with her psychic powers, and he just like fucking BTFOs her.
He's too much of a badass.
Yeah, he gets it. He's too powerful now. And he's able to repel her, and he runs out to the oh god, what the apathetics? He runs out to the apathetics.
Yeah, he runs to where the apathetics are all like.
And he like chilling. Almost like raped an apathetic earlier in the film.
Yeah, when we were first introduced to the apathetics, like when he saw one just like standing there drooling on herself, his first primal instinct was to grab her and start feeling her boob.
Yeah, and making out with her, and he like almost.
But she was like unconscious.
Yeah, I mean she's catatonic, dude. It's like.
And then he jumped on top of her, like, and then at a certain point, he got frustrated, just like. He tossed her away like a piece of trash.
Dude,
man.
He threw this lady
into a stack of hay.
Chucked. I mean, she was like 3-4 feet off the ground.
But here's the twist that hasn't aged that well. After he almost raped her, like the apathetics, just that like forceful, violent sexual act like awakened her a little bit. Like,
but again, they're all catatonic because they've been fucking alive for forever, and they all just gone into this like weird, bizarre state of boredom. And like, yeah,
she like half woke up,
but it's fucked up.
She like half woke up after that.
Yeah, she like her head picked up, and before that, she was just a Raggedy Ann doll.
So at this point, he runs back to where the apathetics are. He's trying to hide. He's hiding from these people. Yeah. He just wants to get out of there. The apathetics all start like kind of crowding around him. They've got him totally cornered. This big group of zombies.
And the one that he almost raped.
Who's like half awake, basically.
Like touches his like sweat. Was it sweat?
It's either, yeah. She gets a bead of his sweat, puts it on her tongue. It looks strange. It looks very much like someone putting LSD on their tongue.
Yeah, the whole scene looked like a bunch of trippy.
And then they're all sharing his sweat, and they're all tripping out.
Well, they're all waking up.
They're all exactly. So that's the metaphor there. And they pass his sweat along. They put it on each other's tongues. They all wake up. Then they all start rubbing him, and it's going to be a giant apathetic orgy.
They're doing like the Midsommar chant too. The scene where the dude cheats on his girlfriend.
Oh,
listeners, you know the one I'm talking about. They start like chanting and kind of doing like the whole, again, like kind of seaweed wave, but different seaweed. This is like vertical seaweed, not horizontal seaweed.
It turns into like a 30-person orgy.
Well, they don't bang him, but they're touching him a lot. He's being touched by a lot of women. I would say the apathetic crowd, the whole society is like 85-15 female to male.
I don't know how an apathetic orgy sounds. I like an enthusiastic orgy. I want them to, if they're not into it, that definitely takes the fun out.
You just gotta slip in and slip out. Nobody even knows you're there.
Who cares about their feelings?
That's a little, it's always Sunny reference. I'm not a bad person. So, yeah, the apathetics are like coming back. There's a certain sect of the society that like wants Zed's head. They voted to execute him earlier before Friend got all aged up. But they're trying to get him, and then it's like revealed from May that she's got a group of followers who are willing to trade all of their collective knowledge for his seed.
And they're all hot women.
They're all hot women.
They all stand around him while he's like strapped to a table, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And they implant him with all these different languages, some math.
Dude, this is a long scene.
And while they're giving him this knowledge, they're all getting pregnant, just
Yeah.
like magically.
So Zed literally has a like 20-person fuck fest, all you can fuck buffet,
Woo.
and at the same time like mind melds with them and becomes like, you know, infinitely smarter than he even was before.
I mean, that is the ideal sexual relationship.
That's what I want.
Is
That's
a
what I
mind
want.
meld.
I want to absorb your knowledge and be inside you. That's the perfect coital
That's good.
situation.
Just take everything I could get, like a fucking a succubus.
I mean, I don't want to drain them. I just mind meld,
Steal their
bro.
knowledge.
So he does it. He does the deed. This, again, long scene. This thing goes on for a while.
It's a lot of mind melding.
He's mind melding all night long.
And he's just fucking coming in his pants the whole time.
Well, no, he's coming inside them.
Oh, yeah.
He's,
Well, it doesn't show them fucking him.
But he did. Like,
I thought he psychically fucked them.
No, dude, he gave them his seed.
Oh, yeah,
he can get
okay.
a hard on. That's like the whole thing that makes him awesome compared to every other dude there is no one else there can get a
It
fucking
makes him
hard
the
on.
king of their society, basically.
Yeah, no one else can get a hard on except for him. There's like a cutscene after all this where it shows like a lot of the apathetics like fucking now. So there are some dudes slinging dick after they trip on his acid sweat. But
This whole movie's like an acid trip. If you haven't gathered that, you have to see it. Just watch it. But the visuals are cool. Like, every scene, probably used this technique way too much. But they just put a projector on every person, everything. There's always another video projected on it or image.
yeah, I don't know. Some of it looks really good, honestly.
No, a lot of it looks... I mean, a lot of it is very cool, but that is the predominant special effect that it's employed.
that is. So, Zardoz is basically seeking out the tabernacle. Again, this, like, thing that is not fully explained yet, that we already alluded to as AI. That is responsible for the immortality of the Eternals, as well as their Siri rings. So he's like trying to seek it out to destroy it, because he's like put together that if that's, you know, what's causing their ailments and ultimately depriving them of their humanity because they can't die. And he eventually comes to it, and he runs into Arthur again, who, you know, is up to his general Loki-esque trickster ways.
Zardoz. Basically, he's the guy who was pretending to be Zardoz.
Yeah, Zardoz / Arthur.
And at this point, he tells him, like, straight up. They've kind of hinted at it, but he's like, you were part of a eugenics experiment.
Yep.
Where we had a selective breeding program. Well, we programmed you to be the smartest, the strongest, a superhuman.
Yep.
And the whole plan was for you to come here and fuck everything up. Because...
Well, at the same time, fix everything, right? Like, get humanity out of its doldrum.
And yes, and it's a major theme of this movie is basically, like, technology and modern society versus, like, the id. Or, like, your primal animalistic urges.
Yep.
Which, you know, that I think... You know, people talk about this all the time, but society and technology and civilization has evolved faster than the human brain. And yes, it probably causes a lot of anxiety and depression for many, many people.
Cough, cough, social media.
Oh, God.
Mankind wasn't ready.
Mankind wasn't ready for that, for sure.
Nope.
But we weren't even ready for just, like, working in an office. Like... That anxiety is that constant feeling like you have to look out for a predator or something. Like,
yeah.
And in general, like...
But the predator is who you report to at work.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it really, objectively, none of that shit is actually that fucking important. But, like, it feels like it's life or death because that's how we're fucking programmed.
Yep. Fuck. I want to be deprogrammed.
Well, that fucking... You gotta get a little Zed in your life. Eat the sweat.
I stuck my tongue out for you guys who aren't here with us. So Sean Connery like somehow gets into the crystal. I don't know. That was all still kind of confusing to me.
It was confusing. He somehow comes into possession of this big crystal, which apparently
it's like a battle of wits. So it's just like Sean Connery has it fucking all in this movie. He's like the strongest, the most badass. He's a brutal murderer. He's also the smartest person on the screen. He bangs all the ladies.
Exactly.
Maybe some of the men.
His job is an exterminator. That's what they kept calling him at the beginning. He's badass.
He is badass.
But then he gets this crystal that houses the AI. Mm-hmm. So, like, the AI lives inside this crystal. And this scene is like an homage to fucking 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Homage or just rips it off. I don't know which.
I think it's close enough to be a ripoff.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, this crystal is HAL 3000 or whatever. Is it HAL 3000? I think
HAL
so.
The robot?
Yeah. 3000?
Yes.
And this crystal says, actually,
9,000. Fuck me.
HAL 9000?
HAL 9000.
Anyway, this crystal basically starts talking to him. So he's talking to a crystal. Like, how much fucking L is this dude on?
That's if you're talking to crystals, you took too much.
Dude, I know too many hippies who talk to crystals.
Yeah, I know a lot that really believe in that kind of thing.
More power to them. And anyway, this crystal is talking to me. He's like, I engineered this whole thing. Like, actually, it was me who put that thought in Arthur's head to do this eugenics program to destroy all of society.
Yeah, it was all the AI's plot to begin with.
Fucking wild, dude.
And everyone else is just a puppet in his bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. You thought Zardoz was the puppet master. In the beginning, he calls himself the puppet master, but you find out actually the AI is the puppet master, which, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, everybody's just his puppet.
And the AI essentially is like self-destructing, and it's like realizes that society has gone too... It's not natural. So civilization is not... I don't know. It doesn't...
I mean, I think like
that is the philosophical question.
The hyper civilization. Something we didn't touch on is that all the Eternals are just like the world's most wealthy, and they basically just like fucking walled themselves off from like the suffering as the world collapsed, which doesn't seem that implausible at all in any way, shape, or form. It's like Elysium, but like 40 years earlier.
Sure. Another thing that I think this was heavily influenced by is H.G. Wells' The Time Machine.
Mm-hmm.
In that book, the dude builds a time machine, goes to the future, far into the future, finds a utopian race. Yeah, similar to this, similar to Zardoz.
Yeah, except
and then there's the barbaric monster forms.
Yeah, the
subterranean mutants. Yeah. God, I love subterranean mutants.
God, they're so fucking
in general, great. As a concept.
Let's see, it's like not that utopian. They get fucking picked off and like.
Well, that's the thing. Essentially, in that book, society had basically Homo sapiens had diverged in their evolutionary paths into two different species, which actually. It's very plausible in today's society where they're doing all this genetic modification. Say, like, some country like China said, okay, we're going to allow genetic modification of humans. So, like, basically the richest of our society will be able to engineer their own child, make them super smart, super good looking.
Basically Gattaca.
Basically, at that point, the huge wealth gap would essentially create a society of the upper class who can actually genetically modify their children.
Yeah.
And then the lower and middle class who maybe can't afford it, which basically that
This is
with
literally
modern
literally
science,
Gattaca.
that could fucking happen.
You ever seen Gattaca?
No.
Holy fuck.
Is that a movie?
Yeah, it's so good.
I haven't
Hawke,
seen it.
dude,
I'll watch it.
It's like one of the best.
Well, that sounds like Gattaca's also based on the time machine, because that's the premise of the time machine.
Loosely, it's its own story. It's its own story. It is.
Yeah.
Gattaca's very good. We'll do that eventually, guys.
Nice.
Or we'll watch it together and drink beers. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So Zardoz destroys the crystal. Is that what happens? I mean,
it wasn't totally clear. He didn't smash it or anything.
No, but he undoes it, and basically it ends its influence and ability to keep all those Eternals alive inside.
And somehow he makes that flying head come back. And the
Yeah.
last scene is the flying head comes back, and out of it come running all of the Brutals.
Yep.
And they're wearing the Zardoz masks, and they have the guns, and they're like on horses and
they're
stuff.
red.
And they're
diapers.
red, weird tights or whatever.
Yeah.
And they start killing all of the enlightened people.
Yeah, who like many of them have wished for death. In fact, that's kind of like
They've all wished for death.
everybody there at that point dies. Like all the pregnant women that Zardoz put his seed into leave on horseback to go form another society. All the other apathetics and all the people who weren't apathetic but were just still alive but weren't happy, they all just get brutally slaughtered in the most hyper violent way possible. I mean, how much of the budget was spent on that scene of just
just dying faces.
they kill this one chick who's got like amazing boobs and they like pan in on that. Hard to miss something like that when it's.
I mean, I would call this. Yeah, that's definitely very indulgent with the sex and the violence.
Again, it's almost like a 16.
Give the people what they want. Well, fucking, that's honestly Game of Thrones is the same shit.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
without
yes,
sex
it's
sells,
a little
baby.
bit smarter of a plot, but at the end of the day, why was it so massively popular?
Because people were banging on screen.
Fuck yeah, with dragons.
Yeah, with dragons.
Awesome.
It is kind of awesome. So yeah, all the Eternals are getting slaughtered, except for the ones that Zardoz shot his Jesus into.
Oh yeah, they are saved.
They've been saved. We see Friend and Arthur die in the same scene, which again, it's like the two. It's even their deaths is like dumb comedic slapstick. That's the word. And Zardoz manages to grab the hand of one of the more beautiful Eternals and escape off with her. And, basically we see him literally sit there doing absolutely nothing while she gives birth to his child over like a time-lapse period. And then they're sitting beside each other and the child's there and it gets older.
It's kind of a weird scene. They're like they're wearing these weird green outfits. Who
made those? Those were very well tailored.
And then there's like a baby in between them, and you slowly through a really cool time lapse, watch them get older and older, and the kid grow up
and leave.
And he leaves, and then they turn into skeletons.
Go get a fucking job.
It's pretty sick.
It is, and then it all crumbled, and that's the end of the movie. We made it, guys.
What a wild ride!
Oh,
that movie is. You gotta watch it.
I'm sure we missed something. If there was a favorite part that you didn't hear us talk about, and you want to let us know how bad we sucked, please send us some fan mail at faroutflixpodcast@gmail.com.
Watch this movie.
Watch
this movie. It's on Hulu right now.
It
might not be later, but it is where we are.
Seize the carp. You got to get it. As always, thank you guys for joining us this week. This is episode 10.
This is episode 10. It's a big milestone for us.
We should have fucking led with that. But you made it to the end of the episode, so you get the privilege of rejoicing with us. Episode 10. Yay.
We made it this far, folks.
We did, and we're going to keep going. And none of you, no matter how many of you refuse to subscribe or like or share our content with your friends and loved ones, we're going to keep churning them out.
We're gonna, this
Week
is
after
coming
week.
whether you like it or not, and we hope you don't like it, just to piss you off.
We're gonna fucking Zardoz this podcast.
Oh god! Not the part with the net and the woman, right?
No, the spreading of our seed.
Oh yes. All right. Anyway,
It is.
thanks for listening to Far Out Flicks. See you next time. There's a fucking cockroach right there. I almost would have stopped it, but I was like, we're fucking so close to being done.
Death. Double death.
That was good. That was good.
Best one yet.
It was indeed.
It's still recording.